The most popular name in the United Kingdom for babies this year was Muhammad. Am I a racist to feel I'm alarmed by that? Because I am.
Religion. It's easy to worry about, especially when it's someone else's religion. The U.S. government is currently in the midst of a multi-decade and multi-trillion-dollar freakout on the topic of Islam. So is most of the U.S. media. To some extent, this is what media and government do, and is to be expected. But if you know anything about history, it's kind of surprising. Because we've seen all this before, and it is nothing to freak out about. Drawing parallels with other eras and religions is always a tricky business, but we can learn a lot by doing it, so let's give it a whirl. What's the first thing a population does when it becomes rich? It gets more religious. Do you live in a European or an American city that's over 100 years old? Are there a lot of churches? When were they built or rebuilt? The answer is almost always the 19th century. That century saw the birth of so much of what we call modern life. Large sections of the population in the US and Europe had new reserves of disposable income and free time. What did they do with it? Religion, religion, religion. This is probably because paying for religious stuff is a good way to signal status and virtue. Hundreds of new sects were born, churches were built everywhere, and an oppressive new sexual orthodoxy was formed that we are still rebelling against today. We've actually seen this a couple times over the centuries. New wealth hits the elites first and leads to a lot of new art and innovation. Then it trickles down, and we get a whole mess of religious ridiculousness. This is what is happening in parts of the Islamic world right now. Over the past 50 years or so, oil and other international commerce has resulted in a much higher percentage of people who can read and eat comfortably, so they are getting more religious. This is normal. Eventually it will fade. That's normal too. The Islamic world will naturally tire of religious domination, just like the Christian world did. Religious uniformity rarely survives mass literacy for more than a generation or two. People always get sick of religious nutjobs. A reaction against conservative Islam is already occurring in places like Iran and Turkey. We in the West can't do much for the reaction against radical Islam other than slow it down.
I know what you want. You want to kill me.
George W. Bush's great gift to Iran's theocracy, the 2002 Axis of Evil speech, is a great example of how to slow the process down. By making that speech, and then invading Iran's neighbors, Bush made it seem like an attack on Iran was about to happen, making Iranians want strong, stable leadership and creating the political careers of Islamist hardliners like Ahmadinejad. Some say that Islam is naturally more violent. This is just silly. One of the top 5 most lethal man-made events in history, right up there with the 2 world wars, is a Christian rebellion that took place in China in the 1850s and 1860s. Jumping over to Africa, Belgian missionaries are estimated to have killed 10 million people in the Congo alone. The Christian fundamentalists that founded my country cleared out an entire continent. September 11th and the current messes in Syria and Africa are horrible things, but they are playground scuffles compared to massacres caused by Christians. Yes, these Christian genocides were about money and power as well as religion, but so is this brief return to militant Islam. I call it brief because that is what it always is. We've watched the pendulum swing towards a more conservative Islam, and I expect to see the pendulum swing back in my lifetime. The Middle East and the Muslim world, more generally, are discovering modern life. And it is up to the people in those countries to decide what that looks like, not us. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.